This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hey guys, welcome to the Faves of Our Lives. I'm Kelly, and your other host is Brittany.
Hey guys.
Grab your immunity idol, your torch, and your canteen. The tribe has spoken. Today we're talking about one of the first reality TV shows.
That's right, we're talking about Survivor. It premiered May 31st, 2000. It is currently starting its 39th season, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm fairly certain that the day that this episode drops is going to be the premiere of the 39th season. So that's exciting.
It is exciting. Sandra's gonna be on that.
Yeah.
And Boston Rob. And I like Sandra. She's one of my favorite characters. But, she is rich already.
I know, she's going for 3.
She doesn't need it, though. Spread the wealth.
Yeah, but Boston Rob is a fan fave. Almost any season with him on it, it's going to be a good season. I'm excited about this season. The show is hosted by the one and only Jeff Probst, and he hasn't aged since season 1.
He has not.
He looks exactly the same. So this episode is going to be a little different than our previous episodes. As you guys know, we typically look at specific episodes of each show that we're going into. Survivor, because of the type of show that it is impossible to pick an episode. So we're going to be talking about specific seasons, game-changing moments, twists, those types of things that everyone kind of voted on, and they're the fan favorites. Kelly, I know that you recently binge-watched this show. What is your favorite moment?
Okay, so I started watching it from the beginning, and I did not really get that far because of this podcast. Because I have to watch other stuff for the podcast. But I did watch what was the season called? It was all people that have been on it before.
Oh, that happens multiple times.
Oh, okay. It was the most recent one that was like that. Oh, it might have been Game Changers.
Yeah, Game Changers was season 34, so...
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one I watched the whole thing. I really liked that. But I think, without watching the entire series, I'm just gonna say this, so don't jump on me, anybody. The best Survivor moment of all time is in the first season, when it's Susan, right?
Sue. Yeah.
She tells her and Kelly don't get along. She tells her, if you were dying in a ditch, I would not give you a sip of water.
Yep, that was one of the moments that were voted.
The best moment, because I was, I don't know how old.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I remember my dad watching that first season. He was obsessed with it, and I was not a huge Survivor fan at that point, but I vividly remember that moment. I hadn't even watched the entire season.
I think I was 13 or something when that came out, and we watched that every week, me and my parents, and yeah, I thought that was a really good burn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's a good place to start. That was season 1, that was Borneo, and she changed the vote. People expected that Kelly was going to win that season, but because of her speech, it changed the entire outcome.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's my favorite part about Survivor is that you can play it however you want to play it. You can play it being the nice guy, being the bad guy, being the sneaky person, or whatever. But you have to watch out who you burn because those people are going to be on the jury.
Right.
And they're going to choose at the end. It doesn't matter how well you played because, you have to get to the end. So it does matter how well you play, but they're going to ultimately decide.
Right. Yeah, I think that I love that too, because you have to watch who you're sending, who you're voting out, who's going to the jury. Have you upset them in any way? That would be really hard to vote someone out and not piss them off.
Yeah. Even in, everyday life.
Right?
I don't think I would be very good at Survivor because I like to make everybody happy, and I want everyone to like me, so I think I would be horrible at it.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Do you think that you could actually survive on Survivor?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
See, I think I could survive if there were no competitions. It was just laying on a beach, camping, eating rice, fish, whatever. But I'm not good with competitions.
That part would be okay, but yeah, I have to agree with you. I am awful at anything athletic. If it was like a puzzle or something, those ones I could probably do, but yeah, I would probably fail miserably, especially swimming. They have to swim a lot. I am a horrible swimmer. They'd probably have to send medical in after me because I'd be drowning.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with being athletic. I can run, I can swim, I can do all that. I have zero upper body strength. I just don't see going very far without any amount of strength whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, yep, I'm with you. Maybe not the swimming, but those competitions where you have to balance anything for any amount of time, I couldn't do it. And my arms would be so sore, I would think I was having a heart attack or something the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to hold my arms in the air for a very small amount of time at a time to put the shower curtain back up, and that seemed really painful. So, no, I cannot do Survivor.
Well, before we get into the other fan-picked favorite moments, I want to explain a little bit, and if you all are confused, Season 1 was dedicated to television shows that have ran its course. So, it was all tied up in a neat little bow. It's done and over with. The next episode and this episode are going to be shows that are still currently running because they have changed the course of television, and that's why we chose this. We chose Survivor because, as Kelly said in the intro, it kind of ushered in reality shows like it, like Big Brother, MTV's The Challenge, those types of things, and people still love it every season.
Yeah. I can't believe it's still going, to be honest.
Yeah. So, that's why we chose this one, and that's why we had to mix it up a little bit. Kelly, you already brought up the first one from Season 1 Borneo, Sue's rat and snake speech.
Do you have the speech?
I do not have the speech.
Oh.
I just know she says something to the extent of, the island is full of two things, snakes and rats. Richard, you were the snake. You were conniving and just straight out mean, cutthroat, but you were honest about it, and people knew exactly who you are. Kelly, you were the rat scurrying around the island trying to hide from the snake. And she turned to the jury and she said, "So I'm standing before you all, begging you to bid well to the spirits of the island and let nature take its course. Let the snake eat the rat." So, it was a pretty good speech.
The part that I was talking about, she said, this is a quote, "But if I would ever pass you along in life and you are laying there dying of thirst, I would not give you a drink of water. I would let the vultures take you and do whatever they want with you, with no ill regrets."
Yeah, that was cold.
It was cold, but
it was good TV.
It was good, yeah.
The next moment that was voted a fan favorite was from Season 2, the Australia and Outback. It was when Mike Scoopin fell into the fire. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was scary.
It was scary.
He was trying to fuel the fire by breathing into it. I think that it was smoke inhalation that made him pass out, or that's what he thought. But really, I mean, if you're not eating the way that you typically are, you're weak, and you're blowing on something. I get lightheaded when I'm blowing up a balloon.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that could make you pass out too. So regardless of what caused it, as he was blowing on the fire, he passed out and he fell into it. He burnt his hands so bad. You see him jump into the river, pond, whatever was right there. And they were asking him if he was okay. He looked okay at first. You could see some burns on his face, but he looked all right. When he lifted his hands out of there, you could see skin hanging off of his hands.
That's disgusting.
It was so bad. I felt for him.
Yeah, I bet even more since you burnt your toe.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That did happen. Yeah, that was bad, and that was like, what, an inch long burn?
Yeah.
Can you imagine both of your hands?
Mm-mm. How bad would it suck? How many days was he on there? Like, was that at the beginning or towards the end?
It wasn't in the beginning. It was either middle or end.
Okay, but I'm just thinking, like, how bad it would suck that you're out here on Survivor, surviving, and you put all this effort into playing the game and doing all this bullshit, like not eating and whatnot, and then you have to get medically evacuated.
It would suck.
That sucks.
Yeah, and although it was only season 2, it's worth noting that was the first medical evacuation in the show's history.
And it's not the last.
No, it is not. And we'll get to that. The next moment that people seem to always remember was from the 6th season. That was the Amazon. And it was when Jenna and Heidi stripped for food.
Mm-hmm.
It was during a reward competition, I believe. They wanted the food. They were desperate. And so they were making a deal that they would strip for the food. The only problem was they started taking their clothes off before the deal was made.
So did they get the food?
They did get their food, but it could have gone really badly.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is about this game that I don't know if people really think about this, but you're not in your right state of mind.
No.
You are delusional. You will do anything for anything.
Yep. I've seen desperate people whenever they bring out the peanut butter and jelly.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that that's so funny because you're thinking of, okay, pizza or steak or something greasy like that. No, peanut butter and jelly, they go crazy over it.
Yeah.
I was also really impressed because this was a balancing challenge. They were out in the middle of water, standing on a log balancing, and they were taking their clothes off while balancing.
Oh my gosh.
So they deserve the food just for that.
Yeah. There was, like, at least 2 times that I saw when I was watching, recaps on YouTube where girls have either, like, purposely untied someone else's swimsuit to slow them down or accidentally got untied and they just kept on going, boobs and all, because they were whatever.
It's gonna get blurred out anyway.
Yeah.
The only people that are gonna see are the people there on the island, and they've probably already seen it.
Right, exactly.
The next one was probably the one that was talked about the most. That is Season 7, Pearl Islands, when Johnny Fairplay said that his grandmother had died.
I don't know about this.
Oh, man. Okay, so at a certain point in every season, you have a reward challenge where you get to possibly, if you win the challenge, spend time with a loved one. Johnny Fairplay chose his best friend to come onto the show. He apparently told him before he even went on that was who he was choosing, and that if he made it that far and his friend was the guest, he had to tell him that his grandmother died. So his friend did.
In front of everybody?
In front of everybody. So when he comes back to the seating area, Jeff asks him if he's okay, and he's crying, and he tells him, I knew it was either going to be my buddy or my grandma, and there's a reason that my grandma isn't here today.
Oh,
and Jeff
my
said,
gosh.
Why is that? And he said, she's not around anymore. And so they said, I'm sorry to hear that. He won the challenge, I'm pretty sure, because everybody let him, because he wanted to hear more about his grandma, supposedly. So he goes on this reward challenge with his friend, and they're talking about how their plan went flawlessly, and in the interview, he's like, my grandma's sitting in a recliner watching Jerry Springer right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He said, I came here to win $1 million, and I'm doing everything I can to win that $1 million, and I guess that meant he was willing to say his grandma died.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty sleazy, but it's $1 million.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the reason that fans were so mad, well, some fans were mad, some fans thought that it was genius, but the ones that were so mad about it was because they got emotional. You didn't find out until after he won that it wasn't true. So they felt like they were manipulated too.
Mm-hmm.
I still say, hey, it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in there, you can't always be the person who you are outside of the game.
Right. You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm not sure I could do it. I wouldn't want to put that on my grandma.
Yeah.
I'd feel guilty if something did happen, even though it would have nothing to do with me. You don't will it to happen.
Right.
I think I read somewhere that his grandma was not mad about that. So she must be a pretty cool woman.
Well, did he end up winning the entire thing?
I don't think so.
Oh. That's so crazy. How do you even come up with something like that?
I don't know. Sandra won that season.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm just too pure. I don't know how to come up with schemes.
Yeah, I don't think of that stuff either, but maybe if someone was like, you're going into a game where you have to outwit people, you might start thinking that way for $1 million.
This is totally off topic, but someone got voted off of MasterChef because they didn't know how to whip cream. They were like, you're going on MasterChef and you don't practice how to whip cream. And
I mean, I know how to whip cream, and I'm not a master chef.
I know. It's just funny.
Mm-hmm. The next two are from Season 13, Cook Islands. The first one is when Candace and Jonathan leave their tribe and go to the other. This was under the hashtag mutiny. The mutiny twist apparently was brought up in other seasons, but it never made the cut because nobody actually chose it, so they just didn't use that footage.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone thought this was a big twist for this season, but it had happened in previous seasons. 2 players from one team switched to the other team, leaving only 4 players on one.
Wow.
That prompted Ozzy to get pretty pissed off because he was on the team that they left.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, I know he's one of your favorites.
Yeah, he is. I don't know why anybody would want to leave his team.
I watched that season, but I can't really remember. I think they were just on the outs, but I don't know. Well, Jonathan had been on the other tribe before, so he might not have been on the bottom, but it just seems weird. Like, you're going to a tribe that's been together.
Yeah, like, even if you don't like him, he's nice to look at.
Yeah, that's true. And he always supplies fish.
Yeah.
The next moment from Season 13 is the Becky Sundra Fire Challenge. This was, I'm fairly certain, the longest tiebreaker challenge. It took over 90 minutes. It came down to Sundra and Becky. They had to start a fire, and whoever fire got high enough to burn the rope. This is like the common tiebreaker of Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw this in the, wait, I don't know. Was this during, Tribal Council?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I saw this on one of the videos I watched.
Yes, so they couldn't start a fire with their flint. So it took so long that they brought in matches to start a fire.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Becky ended up winning, but it is known as the world's longest tiebreaker.
That's funny.
The next one is from the 16th season, Micronesia. It is when Eric, now dubbed the world's dumbest survivor, gave up his immunity necklace to Natalie. This was all orchestrated by Suri, who is also a fan favorite.
She's one of my favorites.
Yeah. All of the women, which I think they named themselves the Black Widows, I believe, they wanted Eric out, but he won immunity. So Cerise said, well, what if I can get him to give up his necklace? Everyone said that's not going to happen. He would be so stupid to give up his necklace, and she actually convinced him to do it. So at Tribal Council, he said, you know, he had done a lot of things and he was hoping to right some wrongs, and he gave his necklace to Natalie and they all voted him out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you live, you learn, right?
Yeah.
Those are the moments that I love to see. Things that you would think are impossible, but someone has the charm, and Sari does have the charm.
Yeah.
I think she might be my favorite as well.
Yeah, she's not a very good swimmer either, so I relate to her.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one, I don't think this is one that is mentioned, but that's one of my favorite moments of this show, is when her team had already lost, and it was because of her. It was the swimming challenge, and she could have quit, and she didn't, and she just kept going, and that, to me, it was such a huge moment.
Yeah, it was.
She could have just stopped, but she was determined, and I think that's the reason that she always makes it on this show, is because, by God, she's gonna do it.
Yeah. So, do we know who else is gonna be on the new season? Or just those two people?
Those are the only two I have heard, but I haven't done a ton of research.
I wonder if it's gonna be all, like, repeat people or new people.
Yeah, it might be a fans versus favorites season, which I really like those ones.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. The next one is from season 17, Gabon. It is when Randy plays Bob's fake idol. I always love when they introduce fake idols into the game.
It's such a good idea.
Yeah, I also love whenever there's a fake idol, Jeff always throws it into the fire.
Yeah. I think Jeff is the funniest. He's just so funny.
Yeah.
He says, like, funny things, and he's also, like, annoying, kind of. Like, if you were on the game, I could see how he would be annoying, because he's always saying stupid shit, like, oh, are you guys hungry? You want these cookies?
Have you ever noticed when they go into the new immunity challenge, he always says first things first?
No.
That's always what he says. First things first. So-and-so, I'm gonna need the immunity necklace back. I love him because whenever there is a fight at Tribal Council, the pure joy on his face as he watches.
Yeah.
He loves it. The next one I have is from season 20, Heroes vs. Villains. And it's when Parvati plays two idols. She saved herself and another player. I can't remember the player off the top of my head, but it sent JT home. And what I liked about this one is that JT gave the idol to Russell, and Russell gave the idol to Parvati. So he essentially sent himself home by giving up the idol.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any way I would give someone else my idol.
I don't think so either. You'd have to have a lot of trust in that person, which, granted, he gave it to Russell, who he trusted, and Russell is the one who gave it to somebody who couldn't be trusted, but I suppose, in that sense, Russell couldn't be trusted either.
But wasn't Russell, like, a quote-unquote villain?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's one of those, though. I'm probably gonna get yelled at for saying this, but I kind of liked him.
Yeah, I liked him, too.
Because he was a villain.
Yeah.
I don't know, he made the game interesting.
Yeah, that is true. They do make the game interesting. If everybody just played nice, it would not be interesting.
Right. I mean, I honestly think that Sue and Richard were a big part of why the show was such a success, and they were just outright not nice people. I mean, she even said during her speech, you know, I'm not the nicest person.
Yeah.
So people liked that. The next moment I have is from season 32, Cal Wrong. That is when Caleb collapsed from a heat stroke. Do you remember Caleb?
I'm not sure, but I saw that clip.
Caleb was, I believe, originally on Big Brother.
Oh, okay.
Which I also watched that show.
See, I'm picturing Malcolm when you say Caleb for some reason. No.
He was a really sweet guy, really physically fit, so you were kind of shocked. It was a challenge where there were balls of some sort buried in the sand, and so they were digging these up. They had to dig so many up. A lot of contestants actually succumbed to the heat that day, but Caleb had a heat stroke. He was, like, the doctors made him leave, and he spent 5 days in the ICU.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was not good for him at all. I was really upset about that moment because I liked him. I like him as a person.
Yeah, he was on Game Changers too. I remember who he is now.
Yeah, he was really sweet on Big Brother. Well, okay, he was kind of creepy at first because he had a crush on this girl. And he was, like, in love with her to the point that you were like, okay, I think he might kind of be a creep. But the more you got to know him and see him interact, you could see that he wasn't pretending to love this girl. Like, he really had feelings for her, and once he realized that she didn't have those feelings for him, he was fine. It just seemed weird because it always blows my mind. I get that even, like, on Survivor, Big Brother, whatever, it's just these 16 or however many people. Each season has different numbers, but you're only there for, like, a month.
Yeah.
How are you falling in love with these people?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
But, well, those are all older people. I was gonna say, I feel like I could have been like that in, like, high school. You know, you meet somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I love them. But those are all older people, so...
Yeah, I just don't...
They can't use the excuse of being young and dumb.
Yeah. The next two are from season 34, Game Changers. This was a really good season, and probably because the name was called Game Changers, there was a lot of expectation for this season, and it paid off. The first one I have is when Zeke was outed as trans by Jeff Warner.
That is the most hateful, like, moment. Like, that is just not right.
Right. I honestly think that, or I just want to believe that this is not who Jeff Warner actually is. It was him playing a game. Like I just said moments ago, a lot of times you have to separate how you are in real life from how you are in the game.
But he crossed the line.
He crossed the line big time. And he set himself up as a villain.
And everybody's reaction when he said that, oh my gosh.
He knew right away he screwed up, but you can't take it back.
Right.
And that's what Jeff kind of told him. I somewhat agree with this, because he says to him, I feel like it's just occurring to you that you outed him on national television in front of millions of people. But did they really have to air it?
Yeah, they didn't have to.
I feel like they probably had a conversation with Zeke about it.
Yeah.
But the sentiment's still the same.
But also, I'm sure they sign a bunch of shit that says whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that could be true too. I just know, I'm pretty sure it was Sarah. Her conversation with Zeke made me cry. Because she just turned to him and said, you know, because she was very conservative. She's a conservative person. And she said, I'm just glad that I got to know you as Zeke. And I didn't know, because I feel like I've really gotten to know you. And I'm sure, like, what she was saying was, otherwise I'm not sure I would have.
Right.
And it changed her entire outlook on that. So something did come of it. But yeah, that was probably the most evil move I've ever seen on the show.
Yeah.
The last one I have that was a fan pick was also from Game Changers. It was the hashtag immunity train. This is when there were 6 players left in the game. Culpepper won immunity, so he held the necklace. Jeff said, the votes have been tallied. If you have a hidden immunity idol, now is the time to play it. Ty stands up, and he says, I have an immunity idol. I'd like to play it on myself. I also have another immunity idol, and I'd like to play it for Aubrey. So he takes the 2, and he says, okay, if nobody else has anything. And Sarah says, wait just a second, Jeff. I have this legacy idol that can only be played when the game is down to 6 players, and I don't plan on taking home a souvenir, so I'm gonna play it. She plays it. Next, Troyzan says, excuse me, Jeff, but if everybody else is playing theirs, I'm gonna play mine, and he took them up. Every single idol was an actual idol. So, Culpepper had immunity, Ty and Aubrey had idols, Sarah had the legacy, Troyzan had an idol. That left Suri.
That sucks.
Suri had no votes. Nobody voted for her. And she got sent home. That was the first and only time thus far that has happened. That a player has been sent home from tribal council with no votes.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that was really rough for me to watch because she played the game.
Yeah, she did.
She was on her way, and just because those were the cards that were dealt, she went home.
There was another moment in that season that I thought was really good, but I can't remember. It was Sarah and somebody else. Sarah had an idol thing. It wasn't like an actual idol. I think it was like a typed up paper.
That was the legacy, yeah.
Oh, okay. But before that, didn't she give it to somebody else? And
I think so, because you could will it to somebody.
This was a different time. Somebody gave somebody a paper immunity thing and to hold as a symbol of trust.
I do remember this.
And they tried to play it at tribal council, and it was Sarah's, I think, and she was like, wait a minute, you can't play that. It says on there, like, it can only be played by me. And I thought that was, like, a really smart move.
Yeah, there was another one, though, at one point where you could will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember what season that was. It's really hard to keep everything straight because there have been so many seasons.
I know they're trying to, like, keep it interesting, but it's just, like, it seems like there's so many things going on now, like idols and just other random things you can find. And
yeah, it's like they want to keep the game fresh, but sometimes it's better when you just leave it be.
Right.
And you let it play. You know, keep doing the fan versus favorites or whatever. Bring in new people. Bring in new favorites, I guess I could say. Because each time that you bring in fans, you're going to get more people involved. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just keep it simple.
Right.
I mean, I kind of like the twist that they have where it's like blood versus water or millennials versus Gen X, brains versus brawn,
I liked
all
that
of
one.
that. But my problem with that is I swear it only lasts for like a week. So what's the point in having this twist? Because they're going to switch up the tribes in no time.
Yeah, that's true. I also feel like the longer it goes on, it's less, like, Survivor-y. Like, I feel like they have more amenities, like, behind the scenes. Do you feel like that?
I agree with that, yeah.
I'm not saying that, like, anybody that's been on there in the later seasons, like, oh, you didn't really survive. Like, I know it's still hard.
Right. But I guess it's kind of like Big Brother as well. In the earlier seasons, production just didn't intervene as much. And maybe that's a good thing, and maybe that's a bad thing. But that's kind of how I feel. I also think that some of the stuff that they showed in the earlier seasons, they're still doing in these seasons. Like, you know, they're building shelter and all of that. But they're not showing it because they feel like, oh, well, this has been seen before, so it's boring. It happens every season. But sometimes that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
It's like season 3, Africa. I don't know how those people survived. They ran out of water, for one thing. Like, elephants shit in their watering hole.
Gross.
Yeah, so they couldn't use the water. Then every night that they slept out there, they could hear lions walking around their camp. The only thing that separated them was they had, like, a fence made of briars to keep these lions out.
Wow.
I mean, it was terrifying. I thought someone was going to get eaten.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, when Sandra wanted to eat those baby goats.
Okay, my wife cried.
I'm sorry, Mary. It is really sad, but it's just like, they didn't do it, but it was like, not funny. It was just good entertainment, I guess, that she was like trying to eat these goats and everybody was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, well, and I think that part of the problem was she wanted other people to do it.
Yeah.
She wanted these guys to take this goat and kill it, and they ended up letting it go. Because at first they were like, well, let's just kill the mom and let the baby go. Well, the baby's gonna die without the mom.
Right.
So Sandra was like, well, let's just eat the baby too. What are you talking about?
But why did they not just milk the mom and drink the milk?
I don't know. I don't understand it. But I'm just glad they didn't eat the goats, because my wife would not have survived.
Well, I was glad too.
This was not a fan favorite. This is me personally. There was a season, I'm pretty sure it was the season where they were in the Philippines. They had Lisa Whelchel on the show. I don't know if you know her. She's from the Facts of Life. That 80s sitcom with the schoolgirls and Mrs. Garrett. I watched that show all the time growing up. It's one of my favorites. And, it was an 80s show, but it was on Nick at Night when I was young.
Yeah.
And she came on the show. I swear to you, this woman looks exactly the same as she did when she was a teenager, early 20s. And nobody recognized her. Not a single person. And I know that some of these people are younger and they're not like me where they watch Nick at Night reruns, but some of them were her age. And it just, I absolutely would have looked at her and been like, oh my god, it's Blair Warner. But nobody else saw it. It just floored me. She went through the whole season with nobody knowing who she was.
That's funny.
It's not like she changed her name or anything.
Right.
She was honest about that. She just didn't say, she just said what she does now. She didn't say what she used to do. I also liked her because she was really close to Malcolm. That was, I'm pretty sure, the first season he was on. And I know you like Malcolm. Something with that long hair. He and Ozzy.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think that I liked long hair, but they do all have long hair.
If I were a guy, I would probably go in with long hair too, because you don't want that awkward hairdo where it's growing out.
Yeah. Oh, another moment. This was also from Game Changers, and it also has to do with losing the peanut butter and jelly challenge. Debbie, went off on Ty. Do you remember that? Oh,
yeah, I do remember that.
I'm sure she's a decent human being in real life, but she was crazy on that show.
I don't know. I want to be like you and say I'm sure she's not like that in real life, but I just don't know that I can say that.
You think she has a coupon and she wants to speak to the manager?
Yeah. I think she is certifiably crazy. And hey, that is great for television.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carol.
And we're the hosts of Retro Late Fee. We are stuck in 1994.
And we can't get out.
We're watching all the movies and TV shows that you probably remember, I guess. Somehow we're speaking to you through some kind of time portal.
Right.
Join us every week for great movies and TV shows from 25 years ago.
It's fun, I swear.
So now we're going to move into our random facts. The first one I have is the idea for Survivor is not wholly original and was in fact based on a 1997 Swedish television series called Expedition Robinson. So like Swiss Family Robinson, I'm assuming.
That's funny.
Season 1 winner Richard Hatch failed to report his winnings to the IRS and was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months in prison for tax evasion.
Do you have to serve that?
Yeah.
Wow. What an idiot.
Apparently he didn't think the IRS owned televisions.
Yeah, that's so stupid. They know who you are.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. The theme song is remixed every season to incorporate indigenous sounds from the area where it was filmed.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really like that. Also, I love the theme song.
Yeah. I was trying to think of it.
The oldest contestant was Rudy Bosch. We'll just say Rudy. Everyone knows who Rudy is.
Right.
Who competed twice, with his latest appearance at the age of 75.
Wow.
He was a former Navy SEAL who set physical and operational standards with SEAL Team 2, and with his gruff, no-nonsense Rudyisms, he was one of the most popular contestants on the show. The youngest player ever to compete was 18-year-old Will Wall, who was on the 33rd season of the show, appropriately titled Millennials vs. Gen X. I couldn't imagine doing it when I was 18, but I guess, hey, you're young.
Yeah, it's better than now, when everything hurts all the time.
That's true. The most popular season of Survivor ever was the second season, set in the Australian outback. Colby Donaldson holds the record for individual challenges won with 9.
Wow.
Despite Colby's physical dominance, the winner of the season was Tina Wesson, an unassuming, middle-aged woman who wasn't even supposed to be on the show and was called in as a last-minute replacement.
That's funny.
The 4th season was set to film in Jordan. but after the events of 9/11, they moved filming to the Marquesas Islands instead. Is that right, or is that a typo?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We're American. We don't have to know these things.
I don't do maps.
Sandra Diaz Twine is the only survivor in history to have won the game twice. On the flip side, Francesca Hoagie has appeared on the show twice and both times was the first one voted off of the island.
Oh, Survivor might just not be for you.
No. The least popular season thus far has been Survivor Fiji. It is thought that one of the reasons why it was so unpopular is because a lot of the contestants were boring. Ouch. It was later brought to light that the producers ignored most of the applicants and instead recruited contestants amongst unemployed actors from California.
What?
Like, why? Why would you do that?
I don't know.
That's dumb. I hope they fired those producers.
They should do a season where it's all people who owe a lot of money for student loan debt.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. You'd root for everyone.
I know. I have another game show idea too, where you have two moms going against each other, and the challenge is a full laundry basket full of clothes, and you have to find 2 matching toddler socks the fastest.
And the winner gets, 2 nights away from their children.
Yeah, because that is so challenging to find 2 matching socks, especially when they're toddler size.
And I guarantee you, as a mother, I know that the winner would spend those 2 days missing their child.
Yep.
It's so weird.
It is so weird.
Early on in the show, there was a challenge where contestants had to balance a wooden pole with jugs of water. Midway through, one of the poles broke and they had to reshoot the whole game with new rules. Since then, every challenge is extensively tested to make sure everything works. Trial and error.
Yeah.
In every season where they give away a car, the winner of the car has also never won the $1 million prize. Contestants now refer to this as the car curse. During Survivor Guatemala, the car curse was acknowledged and challenged for the first time. Cindy was given the option to keep a brand new car for herself or give each of the 4 remaining players a new car of their own. Cindy took the car for herself and was the next person voted out.
Wow.
The 13th season, Cook Islands, grouped all the contestants by race for the first few days.
What?
This understandably caused quite a bit of controversy, and the show lost many of their advertisers.
Why would they do that? Why would they think that was a good idea?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
13 is an unlucky number. I guess they just wanted to test it out and see if they could lose viewers. I don't know.
I just don't, was everyone asleep in that meeting when someone came up with that idea? How did that get past everybody?
15 players have been evacuated for medical reasons. We spoke about both Caleb Reynolds, who passed out from heat exhaustion, and Michael Skupin, who inconveniently fell face first into a fire. 11 players have quit on their own.
Just in the middle of nothing, they're just I quit.
Yeah, pretty much. Each survivor can bring 1 luxury item. These have included ukuleles, a Texas flag, and a skateboard. The Texas flag was used as a tarp, I'm pretty sure, which is pretty smart because it was a huge flag. So they used it for their shelter.
Yeah.
So I thought that was smart. The ukulele and the skateboard turned into firewood.
Oh, what would you bring?
I don't know. Mary said one season everybody brought chapstick.
That's funny. Oh, I'd probably bring my peppermint oil.
Sunscreen. That's probably what I'd bring.
I
am white as white. We already talked about Johnny Fairplay.
That's his real name.
No.
Oh, okay.
John Dalton, or as he was known, Johnny Fairplay, lied about his grandmother passing away so he could win a reward challenge. When CBS called his grandmother's home to offer condolences, his grandmother answered the phone. I'm not quite sure why CBS called, unless the reward challenge was a few days later, because Like, it says in the episode that his grandmother didn't die.
Yeah, but also, why would you call the dead person's house?
That does seem weird. Denise Martin from Survivor China lied to everyone about being demoted from school lunch lady to janitor. Feeling sorry for her, Mark Burnett gave her $50,000 only to discover that she had actually been promoted instead. She gave the money to charity so she wouldn't look like Johnny Fairplay.
Oh my gosh.
Rob and Amber made it all the way to the finals of the All-Star show, and just before the announcement of who won, Rob proposed. Amber ended up winning the $1 million and accepting the proposal. That is really cute.
Except for, I mean, they're still together, aren't they?
I believe so.
Because I was going to say maybe he just did it so he could have half of the money.
He's just covering his bases.
Yeah.
Rob and Amber were so popular that they were asked to participate in the Amazing Race. They came in last place, but were still a fan favorite. The last one I have is during Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X. The entire cast and crew had to be evacuated when a cyclone hit the island.
Yikes.
They were brought to base camp so that everyone would be together. Each tribe was put in a separate room with absolutely nothing in it. No food, no blankets, no pillows, nothing.
That sucks.
Yep. And that's all I got.
I was gonna tell everybody that I felt like I was on Survivor yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Kelly got pooped on.
I got pooped on by a bird, and then we went on this hike, and it was supposed to be like an easy-ish hike that would be fine for children, and that turned out to be a lie. And we were hiking for 2.5 hours. And our youngest son had to be carried crying halfway through.
Well, and your youngest son is 5 months older than my son, and I could not have carried him that far. He's got like cement in his bones.
I only carried him for a little bit, and then Chad carried him the rest of the way. Because I couldn't do it. I was like afraid my knee would give out and we would both fall. It was just like, I was expecting this to be like a dirt trail or whatever, but it was so many steps and rocks and everything. Like, if we didn't have the kids with us, it would have been fine. But it was not what we were told it was.
Yeah, so see, we would not survive on Survivor.
Yeah, I couldn't even survive that, so...
That's like the equivalent of an athletic challenge.
Yeah, exactly. But it was beautiful scenery, and we got some really good pictures together, so that was good.
Yeah, I did see some of the pictures. They were really good.
But we probably won't be going on any more hikes anytime soon. Oh, I forgot. I have to do the, social media. I was like, okay, well, that's all we have. Okay, so Angie Miller said, when Eric gives up his immunity idol at Tribal Council in season 16 and gets voted out.
Yep, which we talked about.
Elizabeth Hall says, Johnny Fairplay claiming his grandmother died, the poor group in Africa dealing with lions nightly, Dr. Sean and his alphabetical voting, I blame him for Colleen leaving early, Boston Rob being a boss, Rupert stealing all of the other team's supplies, Sandra winning twice, so many blindsides and shakeups, Jenna stripping naked for peanut butter, Sue Hawk asking to leave the game after she felt Richard Hatch assaulted her. Love all the seasons.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So there was a season where they brought them back. Mm-hmm. And I guess Richard, in the first season, walked around naked a lot, and it bothered Sue, and he found that out because of, like, the first season airing. And so he made, like, lewd gestures and stuff towards her, like, as...
Gross.
Like, I guess just kind of getting to her, and I guess, I don't know, maybe he thought it was okay because he's a gay man, but it still is. Like, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it's a straight woman doing it to another woman. You don't do that. It's making someone uncomfortable.
Right. Joanna Ostel said, I'm doing a #Survivor rewatch, and so far my favorite season has been Cook Islands 13. That's the bad one. Not bad, but the one that started out
well, yeah. Yeah, but
politically incorrect.
that season was a fan favorite after that because of all of the twists and turns that took place. So, I mean, I get it, but I also can see why advertisers would be really sketchy about it starting out.
Also, the season I remembered the most from, although I was only 11 when we watched it on TV. And why? Ozzy, Yule, these two played a heck of a game. From Ozzy's physical challenge dominance to Yule's brilliant strategizing with the hidden immunity idol. Going into season 14 after this season is rough.
Yeah, I could see that. It's really hard when you have a season that is so well done and you have such intense players, and then you go to the next season and you just don't know how it's going to be. And sometimes they are just boring. I hate to say that, but there are some seasons that aren't very good, and I stopped watching halfway through. But every season I come back because it's that type of show. You don't know how it's going to be. It could be a great season. I think this season's going to be a good one. I can feel it.
I do too. Me too.
Yeah, so this episode, again, is either dropping the day of the premiere, but at the very least the week of the premiere. So I urge you all to give Survivor a chance this season. Go out and watch it. I'm sure you will. If you're listening to this, it's because you're a Survivor fan. So watch it and let us know what you think. We'll be watching it right along with you. So after this episode, we are going on, it's not really a hiatus because we're putting content out there for you guys, but we're taking a break from the television show part of season 1 to bring you what we are dubbing our spooky season.
Spooky.
So every week in October, we are releasing an episode off of some of your favorite, it's like the top 5 voted scary movies. We put out a poll on social media, you guys picked, and we're covering 5 of the movies that you guys picked. I'm excited about it. Again, that's every week. This is a bi-weekly podcast, so you're actually getting extra content. After that, we're finishing out season 1 with The Simpsons, which I think everyone's excited about. The Simpsons is amazing. We're having our friend Molly on for that one. And then we're going to post a little Q&A that we did. It was a Patreon exclusive, but I feel like it rounds out the season pretty well, along with a segue episode into what next season's going to be. We also will be bringing to you Christmas movies in December, so stay tuned for that as well. But that's all we have for you guys, though. Thanks for listening. Bye. To interact with us and have your responses read on the show, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at the Faves of Our L1, and join us on Patreon for bonus content and special merchandise at patreon.com/thefavesofoural1. That's the Faves of Our L and the number 1. You can also email us at thefavesofOurLives@gmail.com.